Well, hello and welcome to the International Airport here on Sleeptown Island. I am This Old Gamer and absolutely thrilled to have you along for the ride today. I missed you guys a whole lot. I have not made a new traditional style video in quite some time, and today we are going to be changing that as I'm back, baby. I am back, and we're making a new video. An international airport. I've never made an airport. And you're going to be able to tell that very soon. I've been busy, you guys. I really apologize for not making videos. During this time period, I did not drop any subscribers hardly at all. I actually gained subscribers, and I really wanted to get back into it. And I'm not going to go deep into why I quit making videos and quit playing Cities Skylines quite a bit. I kind of backed off the game some, but I do talk about that a lot in my innocent plug incoming live shows I've been doing on Sundays. It's a lot easier for me to do the live programs. They are kind of all over the place, but they're a lot of fun, and I really enjoy doing them. So International Airport is being built, as you can see. So one thing I wanted to do with this, I wanted a couple things. I wanted to squeeze it into this portion of the island. It's big enough for the international airport, but at the same time, you have to work around stuff. And I did not want to bulldoze the interstate, this main highway that's heading in downtown that you see. I did not want to bulldoze it. So what I decided to do was actually make the taxi for the airplanes go over the interstate. Now, some of you out there might be saying, wow, that's just totally unrealistic. Actually, it is not. It is at several airports around the world. There is several taxiways that go over interstates, which I'm sure causes some major traffic jams at times. People just, I don't know if you'd call that rubbernecking. That's what we call here in the States when you're looking at a wreck instead of looking at your own lane, you're looking at a wreck in the other lane. I guess it'd be kind of like, I don't know, a new version of rubbernecking, whatever you want to call it. But that's what we're trying to do here. We wanted to go over the interstate, and that's what I'm working on. Now, some of this video, as you can see, it is sped up, a speed build, if you will. There's portions of it a little bit later on that are just going to be the video, as it goes very fast. And the reason for that is because I did not intend on, good look there at the modern, ultra modern International Airport hub. But yep, didn't realize how long this was going to take. It was a very long process, so long that I will be making a second episode to kind of finish up things. So this is going to be everything's going to be kind of set in stone. The way it's going to be laid out is going to be finished by the end of this episode. And then on episode 2, I'm planning on doing all the remaining details, including some fun stuff with that actual hangar there that you just saw. Not hangar, with the actual airport itself, with the ultra modern international airport. So let's talk about airports. This DLC came out it's been almost 2 years now. This airport DLC, and I really think it's an underrated DLC. It has lots and lots of options. They have classic airports and modern airports. This is the ultra modern airport. I am trying to keep this as vanilla as possible. I'm not using many custom assets. Of course, I am using mods, as you know, but not using as many custom assets. I'm trying to use a lot of stuff from the DLC just to kind of show you guys what this DLC is all about. Now, this is an older DLC, so a lot of you have already seen this stuff, but I'm trying to just do it in my own little fun way. So I talked a lot about some of the differences in the game now and compared to the game when I last made a video, which has been a while. For one, node controller has gotten better, as you can see here. And then the intersection marking tool has gotten tremendously better. all the mods that already existed when I was playing the game the first go around have gotten better, and they've also added, and by they I mean the amazing creators out there have also added and created new mods that really make a huge difference in the gameplay, as all mods do. And of course, the big news while I was away, that Cities Skylines 2 is on the horizon and the sun is setting on Cities Skylines 1. We still got some DLC coming out. I believe a hotel and retreats DLCs coming out, and then we have some more creative see, I'm rusty. Some creator packs coming out, which I'm really excited about. And Paradox has been teaming up with actual creators from the workshop, some very popular ones, including my boy King Leno. I was excited to see that he got some love with the shopping mall DLC. So check all those out. It's a good way to support the community in different ways. Just such amazing creators. It makes you wonder how this is all going to transition onto Cities Skylines 2. Also, if you have not had a chance, check out BonBonB's Cities Skylines 2 o'clock. It's every Saturday at 2 o'clock. It has lots of cool stuff, and I was on the show 2 weeks in a row. Second time, not by choice. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to cram all this in, as I like to do. I like to have tight quarters on some of this stuff. Now, the Concourse there is a network, and you can do whatever you want to with it. As you can see, it has nodes and segments and everything, so you can stretch that out, do whatever you want, however you want to work it. Pretty simple. Taxiway, same thing. It's also a network. Then you have the aircraft stands that have to be kind of put in there and connected. It all works pretty well. I haven't had really any major hiccups when I was doing this build. I didn't have anything that really was like irritating to me. Unlike the default vanilla game airplane, you do not have to do flight paths for any of these. Here is the train station here. You do not have to do flight paths for any of these planes. They just kind of take care of themselves. This train station connects to your concourse. There is also metro stations available at the concourse hubs, which is the big egg looking thing that I built a moment ago and then deleted. There's concourse hubs, and there's just at the main international airport terminal, there's also a metro connection, so you can have like a little metro connection. Here's the hub center here. That hub center has connections for airplane stands and other concourses, and the metro underground, where you can connect it with the other parts of your airport, so you can really expand. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make the biggest airport humanly possible. I'm also dealing with a lot of weird elevations, and having to make sure that we get the elevations right. I'm not going to say the T word. It followed me to the live show. It's not going to happen again. So yeah, as you can see though, I'm squeezing in these aircraft stands, trying to put them everywhere I possibly can so we can get as many airplanes here as possible. Now, off screen, I made this parking lot. You guys don't want to see me make another parking lot, do you? So here we have our main entrance. Everything is flowing really well. I do kind of question how these people are getting up to the second floor from this parking lot. Here we have Mrs. Davies. She's going all the way around, all the way down, and then walking all the way up. So we're going to have to fix that, and we're going to do so probably in episode 2. I have an idea. I know it's scary, isn't it? All right, so here we're going to have another one of these hub centers. Again, we're going with the ultra modern look, this white concourses, and they have these little blue skylights all over them. I kind of like the looks of them. Now this is disconnected from the main terminal and the other concourses, but again, this has a metro station built into it underground, so we can connect it with the other parts of the airport very easily. And it gives us room to build some additional airplane stands and some more taxiway. One thing, and I think the biggest complaint from reviewers that I read about this, was that it's not exactly realistic, and I'm not really going for realistic. You know, one of the first things when I started building this was I was thinking about those mountains and how it would not work in a real life scenario. Couldn't have those mountains very close. So yeah, the planes do have, you know, not much room to take off and land in this setup, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm just trying to squeeze it in here in a fun area of the map. It's fun, a fun area of the map. Here we have a parking garage by King Leno, which I mentioned earlier in the program. Now, something that has changed from the last time I played Cities Skylines, let me know in the comments if you had this issue. So you can see there, the side of this parking garage, not that side, but the front side by the road is very dark. The shadows are very dark. Something has changed in that, and I did find the fix, and I will kind of tell you about it in a second, but I noticed that like all the buildings that were not facing the sun were very dark. And I started kind of investigating, and what I found was there's a lot of the visual mods that are just not really necessary anymore. I ended up getting rid of Daylight Classic. I got rid of the Clouds and Fog Toggler. Some of you might be listening to this saying, yeah, I got rid of that years ago. But got rid of all those, and I kind of just use a combination. Well, really, I just use Render It for all that stuff now. Render It even has the options now to have the cube map replacer. The main thing with the Clouds and Fog Toggler was it allowed that cube map replacer to work properly. That's built into Render It now. And something else that's built into Render It is an option on the drop down box called Colors. You can actually change the brightness of the sides of the buildings based on the time of day. It's kind of annoying the way that it's set up, but it works, and once I discovered that, I fixed it. Later in the video, you'll kind of see that that shadowy stuff goes away, and now I don't have that issue anymore. But you do have to still kind of, you know, make sure it's set up correctly based on the time of the day. So there's several options to go through, but it's not too difficult to figure out. So yeah, I did figure that out, but that was kind of something that I guess just happened. Some mods changed in time. And you know, when I was saying that I was away and not making videos, I was making some videos. I made some Planet Coaster stuff, just a couple of episodes. I also started messing around with Flowscape and World Maker, which are just kind of like scene maker programs. But if you like Cities Skylines for the detailing and you like doing like those little very, very small type designs and stuff like that, you'll probably love Flowscape and World Maker. They are a very fun programs. They're both very cheap. I think they're both under $10, and a lot of fun to mess with. You can make some really cool scenes, and I was messing with that stuff, making some Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. So that was really cool. All right, back to the build. First off, you might notice there are cars going everywhere. I do not have enough parking, and they're not really utilizing the parking garage to its fullest. So I gotta kind of figure that out. One part of figuring that out is going to have more pedestrian walkways and things like that connected to this new hotel area that I have on the northern side of the terminal. This parking garage also is going to serve as a kind of a spot for a different entrance to the airport, which we will get to in a moment. But I'm just creating these pedestrian paths so people can get where they need to go. A lot of trial and error in trying to figure out what is the best route to get this parking situation under control. This parking garage didn't exactly work at first. I thought maybe it was messed up, but it is functional. It's just that it's not exactly I don't know. They don't use all the floors of it, so we'll come back to that and see if it's working any better here in a second. Give it some time. Okay, so we're adding some more airplane stands. We're just kind of putting them all here in a row. The cool thing about the taxis, pathways, the taxi roads, see how close we have these buildings, and you can still connect it fairly easily. You do have to use your node controller at times, or you'll have some strange glitching. So it might not work as well if you're doing a vanilla build, but it does work pretty well in this scenario. As soon as you plop down an airplane stand, you immediately have an airplane ready to go. Here are the airport lounges, and I put these airport lounges kind of facing out toward the runways. And you know, it wouldn't be a This Old Gamer video without creating some sort of water feature. So we're going to save the game, and then we're going to add some water here and hope that we do not. It's been a while since I've used water on Cities Skylines. Let's hope that we do not flood everything. So we'll use our little water tool here. Lower that down so it doesn't go. Oh, I put it in the wrong spot, and we're gonna have a disaster in our hands. Yep. All right. Let's let this run its course. All right. So now we are back to normal. Everything is fine. So we're making a little water feature here. Yes, the airport lounges, part of the concourse. It's gonna be kind of overlooking the runway. I think that's a really cool view. And we're just going to use procedure objects to kind of make like a foundation to this. I don't want it to be natural. I want it to look like a man-made fountain or something of that nature. I'm not going to completely finish this part of it. That'll be something that I would do on episode 2. As I was creating this build, I started realizing that, yeah, this is going to take a lot more time than I thought, especially with the detailing part. So you're going to see some detailing as you're seeing now. But I don't do all the detailing. I'm going to save that for a little bit later. We're going to add some hills in here. Make this look a little spiffier. And try to have it just kind of transition right into the side of the actual airplane stand there. Another thing that I don't really understand is what the roads are that are around the terminal and the concourses. There's like a little road that cannot be connected to. So I don't know if that's supposed to be for like service vehicles or what, but it's, as you can see there, it's all around every concourse. So I don't know. Now this is the ultra modern basic terminal, and we're putting it right behind this parking garage. I thought that maybe this would help alleviate some of the parking dilemma on the other parking lot, the one that we built earlier that I did not show on camera. So we're going to kind of extend our road, change this road up, kind of get it a little bit smaller here. And we're changing this around just a tad and adding some details with our decals. So this might be working a little bit better now. That front entrance there is an entrance for cars, but I'm not messing with that one. I've got the back entrance. But now we have a separate entrance altogether for our citizens to go into. It's a little hidden, yes. And why I put a hotel at the end of the runway, I'll never know. The planes, the planes do not seem to have to worry about buildings and stuff, so that's good. All right, so we don't have any hangars, or we have a few hangars, but we don't have any like fuel areas or tanks or anything of that nature. So we're going to add these tanks and refill centers here. This is actually all vanilla. Everything that you're seeing here is vanilla. That hotel was a vanilla hotel. Another thing that I wanted to try to avoid, and I kind of did so with this fuel station, is I did not want to have to change too much of the map. I didn't want to like tear down any of the mountains. I ended up doing that a little bit later on, but for the most part I kept everything intact. This is such a beautiful map by City, Two Brothers Island. I absolutely love it. When I started getting back into the game, I started downloading some maps just to check out some new maps, fly around, see what they look like, and man, the map creators out there, there's so many good ones, and it just continues to grow. The popularity of the game is you know, it has not slowed down by any means. I think if anything, it's become more popular, and there's more and more great creators of content for the game, whether it be on YouTube or on the Steam Workshop. There is a lot of stuff out there. Lots of cool stuff. So I'm kind of going through and I'm filling in some of these gaps with our concrete surfaces and things of that nature. If you look at a map of an airport from above, like an international airport, it's not all concrete, but there is a lot of concrete. And that's why I wanted to kind of fill some of these gaps. Now, on the flip side of that, one of the things that got me away from playing Cities Skylines, which I talked about this on the live show a little bit, was the Surface Painter mod seemed to just deteriorate, quit working altogether. And it made me sad because my entire map had a ton of Surface Painter. And I noticed one day that that was messed up, wasn't working right, looked wrong, didn't look right. Grass was not the right color, yada yada yada. Probably a conflict, but I understand that there is a new Surface Painter fix on the workshop. I have not looked at that. I've been using more surfaces and stuff like that. I found some good concrete surfaces that are larger as well, which I use a little bit later on in the show. And I'm also using the natural resources that you can plop down to appear like there's dirt. It's not really dirt, it's like natural resources, but there'll be no industrial areas here. That would probably not be a good idea. Although, you know, when you have a hotel in the middle of a flight path, what does it really matter, right? Now these are just props, these planes here, just to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. Our taxiway is very close to the interstate, but we also have a large fence, and we're going to create an additional fence and things like that to kind of separate it. I know in the real world, these planes might not be this close to an actual interstate, but in some cases they are. Now I'm going to create some procedure objects here. These are actually some custom tanks off of the workshop, and we're going to give them like a big concrete stand. Two of the fuel aviation centers, I think is what they're called, the aviation fuel station that I used earlier, are vanilla, but these are custom ones off of the workshop. I'm just going to put a little fence around there, being that we're right next to the railway. Just like that. All right, let's check back in over here by the parking garage. Oh dear. We have a large amount of people waiting for public transport. And we have a police situation inside of the parking garage for some reason. I don't want to know what that's about, but we'll continue. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to create a little bit of a bus drop-off, specifically for public transportation. So we'll take out these sidewalks we made, and we'll put a little bus depot here on the side. I'm gonna bring these bus connections all the way over. Here's one we'll put up here by the casino resort area. Put a stopover in Riverview. Right there. Reconnect it all the way over here. There we go. Now we're just going to do that. We're going to have 3 different connections here. We're going to connect with different parts of town. We'll put one in Fern Valley. One over here. Robin Park deserves one, I guess. I don't know. Your tax dollars at work. I don't know what that means. I don't want to put too many of them near trams because that could equal a disaster. Alright, that'll work. One more for good measure, right? How about one right in the heart of downtown? Right here by the Coca-Cola Center. Bring it all around. Yeah, that'll work. to go too far away. Yeah. Why not? When I look at my map, looking around, all the memories, all the fun that we've had, 30 episodes of downtown. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. You can definitely tell that not to toot my own whistle here or whatever you want to say, but you can definitely tell that I learned as I went, especially when you look at the first couple of episodes. But my road layouts were absolutely horrendous at first. They're still not great. Hey, I think it's time for a tunnel building interlude. All right, let's do it. Now that our airplane road is done, we are going to start expanding out here in the east wing of the airport, a separate terminal, maybe some additional runways as well. And we're also going to put our control tower kind of smack dab here in the base of this mountain line. Speaking of mountains, the area tool to mark where your airport is actually terraforms. Yeah, you can only avoid it for so long. It actually messes with your landscaping. So you don't have a choice in the matter. Wherever you roll that tool, it is going to flatten it out for you. So you have to kind of like go back through and landscape, if you will, the area that you put the tool on. If that makes any sense. It just flattens it out because it expects you that you're making a airport. It needs to be all flat. Of course, it's right to a certain extent, but it's not what we want to do here. We want to continue to kind of cram it up here in the mountains. This control tower is a custom made one by Denny Mock, M-O-K, I believe. That's on the workshop. It's actually the Hong Kong airport. And I did not get the additional items needed for the top of the actual building portion. There's a lot of antennas on it and stuff, but it still looks pretty good without them. Not sure why Steam did not. Usually it just automatically downloads, but it didn't do that. So now over here, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to actually use the classic airport stuff, which has like this red trim, which looks really sharp. We're actually going to use that for this area. And the reason that I wanted to do a separate portion was, first off, they're so easy to connect via the metro, but also I didn't have any small airplane stands, only medium and large at the international airport part. So I figured we can put our small airplane portion over here and have the smaller aircraft that, you know, maybe needs its own little area. That's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, in this part, I had to use that marking tool, as you can see, and it just flattened out that mountain. I had to use that a lot more than I wanted to, but that's okay. And I also had some issues with the nodes on my taxiways, which you might see, you might not see as we're going along here. But had some issues with the nodes. They weren't connecting correctly, so I had to do a lot of deleting and restarting. I also had a little trouble figuring out the positions of everything over here. So you'll kind of see that as we go along. One thing to keep in mind is wherever you place those airplane hangars, the airplane stands, you want to make sure that the taxiway has a path to the runway, and it needs a path back to the terminal, back to the concourse and the stand. You can have a runway that is specifically for planes that are landing, and you can have a runway that's specifically for planes that are taking off if you wish. It's probably not the most efficient way to get more people into your airport. And of course, you know, ultimately, especially in a vanilla build, you want your airport to drive tourism, to bring people into your city. So you want options for when they land, they got to be able to get off the plane. So I kind of struggled with figuring out the best way to do it. Unlike the other portion of this with the international airport, well, I mean, this is still part of the international airport, but with the first terminal, this is even more tightly squeezed, even though it looks like it's a little bit more spread out. It's actually a smaller area, and I didn't have room to make the taxiways both directions. So I had to kind of figure out, how could I get this to work exactly? So one thing was, I had to change where this terminal was going to be a few times. Also, I decided I'm not going to have any sort of bus stops over here at all. And this is a recipe for disaster. Coming off of the interstate, a roundabout going directly into this place is going to be very interesting to see how the traffic ends up here after a while. But we'll see. Now here I'm just using the more traditional parking lots. The big parking lot on that first terminal, in the ultra modern terminal, I use the big parking lots. And this one I'm using just your traditional ones. The big parking lots, although it's, you know, it looks cool and all that, a lot more time consuming. And I didn't really need anything too fancy. Here, I just wanted to make a couple of them. One of these has been repaved more recently than the other. That's my excuse for those colors. I'm leaving just a small gap there that we're going to put decals on, just like so. And I want this to be a lot more outdoor space on this part. Didn't really have as much outdoor space at the other part of this airport. It's kind of like drive up, get out of your car, or get off the bus, get off the taxi, whatever, go into the terminal, fly away, never come back. This, I want it to be a lot more open. I don't want to say natural or nature or whatever. I just want it to be a lot more open. And that's kind of what we're doing. The classic palms. Let's see. Oh, that's not what we wanted. Connect this metro over to here. And now we have our connection. So the metro trains will start coming over here. That'll probably be the main way people get over to this terminal. I know that like the several times that I have flown, it's been one of those things where you land, make a connection. You have to go over, you know, you're in terminal A and then you have to go to terminal B, and then you take a, you know, some sort of tram type thing over to a terminal far, far away. Several airports are like that. I know Denver is like that. Each terminal seems to be really far away from the next one. Now we're using these ploppable parks and just putting them right down on top of the decals. These ploppable parks work really well because they do not have decals built into them, so you can just put them on top of any sort of surface you want to and kind of customize it for your own look. Plenty of shade is always needed on Sleepy John Islands. Always sunny. Always sunny. And we're kind of bringing these decals over too, and we're going to make a nice little pathway. And as I was making this, I realized that the road connection to the front of the airport is actually on the front side of this. And I didn't really think about it as I was making all this because I was getting into the detailing as I normally do. So I thought, well, you know what? Where might I change this up just a tad? So we started doing the old Scooterooski. So what I realized is the terminal was not going to be able to be over here. So we're going to put it up here by the actual hub. We're just going to kind of connect it directly to that hub. I tried to put it up against the mountain. Don't really like that. We're just going to connect it right here next to the hub. That way our metro is still there. I thought about maybe getting rid of the hub altogether, but I wanted to keep the metro connection because obviously that's where most people are going to be coming from, is the main terminal on the other side. So we're going to kind of fix this up a little bit. We're going to make a little connection, a little kind of a large, somewhat of a roundabout in a sense, where people can just pull right up here to the door. Now I do not have the, I know there's a mod out there that you can adjust roads that are connected to the buildings. I don't have that. So the road that is connected to that terminal, it is what it is. I'm not doing anything with it. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Just a little 2-lane simple highway. But with these parking lots, most people are just going to be dropping people off here. Let's try, yeah. So we're going to place down this big canopy. This is an extra large canopy. Just doing some little detailing. I want people to be able to congregate outside as they're preparing to get into the airport. Of course, once you're inside the airport, there is no escape. Ever since, I guess it's ever since 9/11, airport rules have changed. Can't really leave the airport, go outside. Smokers are all irritated. There's hardly any smoking rooms left in any airport. Las Vegas's airport still has a smoking lounge, but it also has slot machines inside. So it's a death trap any way you look at it. So I kind of extended this parking lot down a little bit. Now I'm putting some invisible pathways. Don't know why I just made one around the corner there to nowhere. We're going to delete that. Made some invisible pathways. Now we're going to bring these decals over. And here we're going to add a curb. It's going to just kind of go down the side of this. There's actually a curb network, not a prop. So as you can see, the decals kind of went up on that. We don't want that, so I moved it back just a tad. Now I'm just going to kind of make a pathway over this road that takes you over to the terminal. And that's the idea anyway. Not going to make this a escalator. It's just going to be a regular staircase. We might add something on the other end that's a little bit more friendly to the legs. That is a, oops, sorry. That is a steep incline, I know, but if you want to get on this plane, you got to climb that staircase. We're going to put this brick wall around here so people don't get any bright ideas of walking out into traffic instead of walking over the actual sidewalk. We do not want people walking around these busy streets. Now here I'm just using procedure objects on the stairs. And we're just bringing it down, kind of matching this incline the best I can. Going back and doing these things that I used to do quite often has been quite the experience. And I am very, very happy to be back, and I do appreciate everybody's support and not giving up on me. I had some funny comments on one of the dungeon videos. Somebody said, and I appreciate the comment nonetheless, that they said, more Cities Skylines videos, please. Huh. I guess they didn't like it too much. Check out my dungeon stories. I think they're kind of fun. So we're putting some small hangers there along the mountains. And we're going back here to add some additional decals, kind of finish up this portion of it. I'm not finalizing details at this point. That'll be something that I do on episode 2. Just kind of setting the groundwork to make sure that everything is good. Here's that natural resource painter. Kind of comes in and you know, takes the place of surface painter in some ways. It actually looks better than surface painter because it still allows the grass to be there, but doesn't actually cover it up completely. All right. Now, one last thing, again, trial and error. I noticed that I had some issues here. I had the one way going around where all these planes were going to be able to take off, but there was not going to be a way to get back to the terminal for small planes. So we are going to do our best to fix that. This runway here is more or less specifically going to be for planes landing. I hope they put their brakes on, because if not, they're running right into the mountain. Oh, man. Wasn't going for realism here, folks. Matter of fact, I thought that on the next map that I make. I do plan on making a new one. That might be a little ways away, because I do want to finish some things on Sleep John Island. But the next one I make, I do want to go for ultra realism. Here's where I was having some trouble with the nodes not working. Just couldn't get them to connect. But now we have 2 taxiways. One going back to the terminal, going around to these hangars. And then one going back to the runways. So now everybody can land and take off and hopefully not run into each other. Well, that about does it for part 1 of Sloop John International Airport. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed building it. It is great to be back making videos for Cities Skylines. I appreciate the support so much in my hiatus, and thanks for bearing with me. I really like how this turned out. In episode 2, we'll be finishing up the details, but I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed building it. Hard to believe Cities Skylines original game is wrapping up and Cities Skylines 2 is preparing for takeoff. But I hope you will enjoy the flight as we enter episode 2. Very shortly it'll be out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm This Old Gamer. Bye-bye!